You're listening to WLPNLP Chicago, 105.5 FM, Lumpin' Radio, Bridgeport. It's Thursday, October 3rd, 2019, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I'm your host, Chris Quinn, coming to you once again from, Studio B here at the Co-Prosperity Sphere. It's a record. Only 3 of the 4 guests are on the phone right now, so that's good. That's good. People are engaged. I like it. Well done, Shana.
Wait, what are you talking about? You have 3 or 4 people on the interweb live?
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Live
what did you say?
On the air.
Yeah.
From the internet.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to thank...
one of the wonders of technology here today.
It's true. It's true.
But what show are you doing right now?
I'm doing the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. Maybe you've heard of it. You're the number 1 guest of all time.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, come on.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep. Uninvited guests do count, much to my chagrin. I didn't make the rules. I just have to play by them.
I was just sitting here counting, looking at the mail,
Yeah.
and you said, "Hey, man, you're already here. You want to be on the show?"
Yeah.
I was glad to be here. That's
pretty
how I
much
get
true,
on
guys.
all the shows. Actually,
just hang out in the studio.
People
Hang out in
think
the
it's a
studio.
joke, but it's essentially accurate. Well, thank you nonetheless. But I'm jumping the gun here. So I want to thank Lumpin' Radio first for having me on once again, and I want to thank the fearless leaders of Lumpin' Radio, Mr. Logan Bay and Mr. Jamie Trecker, for allowing me to come back on, and for
Jamie's, has had a headache all day, and I'm trying to be giving him all these types of herbs and roots I collect outside the Co-Prosperity Sphere. How's it working,
those
Jamie?
are cigarette butts.
Oh, those.
Hey, man, you're looking lots of colors, man.
Oh, good, Jamie.
Yeah.
It's working.
Yeah,
Good.
good.
And where did you find these herbs?
Is this plastic? There's
Outside?
like a plant with a thing in there?
Yeah. So, and he's gone up and walked away. Okay. So, but I still want to thank him nonetheless. I'm looking, as I said, I looked at a sign that has a big red cross through and not the best for me here. Those are kind of my specialties, those two
someone's
words.
trolling you
Yeah.
Here today.
It's true.
And you know what I noticed, too, about the studio since I've been here all day just hanging out, reading the mail, trying to get on
Very
shows?
clean. Cleanest I've ever seen this
It's
place.
very clean, but there is a weird kind of shoe smell all over the place.
Really?
Shoe
Like
smells
sweat?
being blown on me constantly. We're on this vantage point of the Studio B. There's like a shoe vent. Shoe odor vent.
Well, you're sitting right over the vent.
Yeah, the
shoe
shoe
vent.
smell vent.
Yeah.
Are there shoes
probably-
in the vent?
There might. I think when other guests leave the studio, they often forget their shoes because it's so comfortable in here. You want to kick your shoes off and walk around on the plush carpeting. Someone else just throws their shoes down the vent.
Yeah.
And they often leave without their shoes.
The other thing is, sometimes these, what are these little screens right there on the mic
They're
called?
called
What are
pop filters.
Pop filters?
Smell like
sometimes
bad shoe breath.
Ooh. Sometimes those pop filters can be
I'm
funky.
scraping funk off this filter right now.
I was going to wait until I had a chance
No.
to mute.
Well,
Because if you look at
yeah.
this one, it's
Yeah.
kind of...
Save some of that for me. I'll give it to Jamie.
Yeah, this one by far gets the worst because I think the most people spit into this one. And before every show now, I try to take a quick whiff and then run out and get the Formula 409 and give it a little clean because someone's got to do it. But anyway, let's get back to what we're really
Back
here
to the
for,
show?
which is thanking Lumpin' Radio.
Yeah.
And I do want to thank them, and I want to thank the listeners as well who are tuning in to 105.5 FM, WLPN LP. That's in Chicago, Bridgeport to be specific, for tuning in. And if you're listening over the live over the airwaves via the Lumpen Radio app, which I do have to say is a very effective, minimalist, cool app that I still listen to. I do like it, but
Right? Does it work?
It does, but I listen on TuneIn, the TuneIn app.
See, now I would only recommend going to TuneIn
Yeah,
and then putting in WLPN.
Not your own app, yeah.
Do not use our own app at this point.
yeah.
Just go to TuneIn and you can.
TuneIn is good, man.
Yeah.
That's what I use.
So do you say, Alexa or Siri, turn on TuneIn?
Nah, I don't. I try not to do those things.
Yeah, it's good that you leave Alexa and Siri turned off on all of your devices. Otherwise, you're going to be blamed for helping Senator Joe Biden's son do some corrupt stuff in Ukraine.
In Ukraine, it's true.
Yeah.
No, man, that guy deserved that $600,000 a year. He is an expert in that sort of stuff.
Ukrainology.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's an expert in being a sitting vice president's son.
Yeah, he's been one for his whole life.
Yeah, basically,
Basically.
more or less. But I also want to thank people who are. Well, let me say, if you're listening live, you should hop in the chat room. Nitch would want me to say that to you. It's tlk.io/WLPN. But if you are listening via podcast, welcome as well. And you can leave a review. I always appreciate that. Or you can send us a letter. We have an actual real letter, which I forgot to bring the hard copy of, and I'm going to try to have someone send
Via the
a
interweb.
photograph
Yeah.
of the actual
A
handwritten
digital
letter.
reproduction
How meta
of a
is
hand.
that?
Yeah.
An electronic
Yeah.
handwritten letter.
Yeah, that's why I hang out at the studio. I like to hear about these
Yeah.
advances in the
So you
use of
guys
technology.
lost my previous handwritten letter.
No, I see all
Do you
the letters.
understand, Ed, the time, the barriers that need to be overcome to get someone to spend the time to handwrite a letter, put it in an envelope, find a stamp.
What's that?
Yeah, exactly. Put it in give it to a mailman or a mail carrier.
Yeah.
It comes here.
How? How does it get here?
Someone
Chris?
sees it and says, "You have a handwritten letter." It says, "That's great." And he says, "I'll go find it." And then he comes back and says, "It's lost." Just like the highs,
Hey,
the roller coaster
No,
here.
I just want to.
It's a roller coaster.
I just want to say on behalf of everyone at the studio and everyone who lives and works in the building that you should never, ever have mail sent to this address.
It's true. It's true. So we'll get into where to have the mail sent, but definitely don't send it here to the Studio B. Please don't. I mean, it sounds like it's a joke, but it's not. I mean, there's been multiple letters that are lost.
You should take a picture of the handwritten letter that you make. Send the letter through the mail carrier, and then 14 weeks later, email or text that letter
Yeah.
to the Insiders Beer Temple Roundtable
Yes.
at gmail.com.
Right. Someone's texting me, calling me. One sec. Yeah.
So one of the cool things about your show, Chris, is that this is a show about beer and the people who are involved in beer and the industry and the culture that surrounds craft beer. Is that
I've
right?
heard that. I've heard that about this show.
Do you know about that?
I've heard about it.
Yeah. And isn't one of the main points of doing this show is to kind of hang out and recreate those kind of environments where you're maybe out with your friends at a bar or
hanging
a
out.
tap room and you're hanging out at your house and you happen to have a mini fridge full of some of the hottest craft beer available in the country and you just chill.
Kind of like this really nice red cooler next to me,
Like
full of really hot, but also cold.
hot and cold beer. Yeah. And then you hang out and you're just like, what's up? So that's what this show is about, apparently.
Yeah.
You
Well,
sure?
Let's tell everyone what this show is about. If they're listening for the first time, what is this show about? This show is essentially trying to recreate a bunch of people sitting around a bar and talking, but not just any people. People who have made craft beer a part of their lives, which they may or may not regret having done, but they did.
I was going to say that.
But they did.
I'm glad you put that out there.
Yeah, they may regret having done it, but they have. This is a part of their
too late
of their
now.
life now. It's too late. If their new venture doesn't work, they will be crushed. I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but anyway, and getting these people around and talking about topics that are, the stuff that is on all of our minds, or in one way or another, and just getting kind of some discussion going from people who are in the industry, and the industry being not just people who are brewers, but also people who sell beer and distribute beer and educate people about beer and serve beer and market beer and drink beer. It's true. So with that said, I want to introduce my guests. My guests' opinions are certainly their own and do not represent the opinions of any other entity that they may be affiliated with. For example, Lumpen Radio and the Beer Temple, and really anything else. So not necessarily those views, just their own. So we're going to introduce the guests now. I always do it in order of seniority, that being how many times they've been on this show. And I think you've got this one by a long shot, Mr. EdMar. Sitting around just waiting, reading your mail in front of a microphone has finally paid off.
Thank you so
You
much.
did it, man.
Being the number one uninvited guest here on your shows
By far.
It's been one of the things I talk most about when I'm out and about around the country, around the world, talking about craft beer, whatever. I can't tell you how many times when I'm like wherever, Tokyo or Finland, and someone's like, "Are you the EdMar who's on the Insiders Round Table?" I'm like, I am. And then usually someone kicks me or throws an ice cube at my head.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that kind of notoriety of being on your shows brought me a lot of ice cubes in my life. So
I'd imagine you said that if you're in Tokyo, they kick you.
Yes.
In some sort of a martial arts style. And in Finland, it's a ice cube because that's all there is. There's just ice everywhere.
Thank you for noticing those two ways of reacting towards me in those two countries.
Just picking up something and
throwing it,
which will be frozen.
Yeah,
and then throwing it at you.
Yeah. Cool. So it's really an honor to be on the show. So thank you so much for letting me read the mail here and be part of the show.
You're looking good. You got a haircut.
I did get a haircut. A lot of people notice that about me. When I get a haircut, they can tell.
Yeah.
And
well, because you wait a long
the
time.
Same length.
You know what I mean?
Your hair is always the same length, though, so that's kind of odd.
It kind of looks like it is, but no. I'm the kind of guy who gets his haircut when it falls over his glasses so much that he can't see. Mm-hmm. And I keep forgetting to cut my hair, and it just keeps getting longer. Or, hey, look at this guy. See, but you know how to comb it back or hold it back, and your glasses aren't obscured by your hair. Mm-hmm. So, I got a haircut. I got a new hoodie. Want to check this? Check this out.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I like it.
Pretty hot, huh?
Very nice.
We got sweet new hoodies to celebrate the 5th anniversary of that brewery I work at.
Cool.
Yeah. And then, it's never been cleaner here. It's in the Co-Prosperity Sphere, I don't think.
Minus the shoe vent.
Shoe vent, is our smells about cleanliness?
They can be.
They can be, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the vents
still
are not clean.
Regardless.
That
it's
phone
still
is
never
really
been
dusty, too.
It's still never been cleaner. But you're presuming that before this it was cleaner.
Very clean.
No, it's never been cleaner.
Only thing I notice about this place is that someone here who works here constantly turns off Info Channel. The most incredible 4D HD network in the world, and that often angers me. And I would rather have it be the dirtiest place on earth with Info Channel on than a clean place with Info Channel off. At the break, we will turn Info Channel back on. And that's why I'm here. And that's why you should listen to lumpenradio.com and 105.5 FM. Because we believe in the rights of Info Channel to be played everywhere.
Everywhere.
All the time.
Yeah. 24/7.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a different show?
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
you're plugging a little bit. I'd say we've played it a little bit at the bar, Info Channel, and it made it
Channel.
Channel.
Info Channel.
What is Info Channel? I don't
Info
even know
Channel.
what this is.
You'll see later. If you don't know now,
let me tell you that I played it at the bar. I said, all right, this is going to be a new leaf. We're going to play Info Channel. And about 20 minutes later, I texted it. I said I have to turn off info channel. The guests are freaking out.
Yeah, it can be very disruptive. If
It's a little
on.
psychedelic.
Yeah. Yes. I recommend that if you were going to play info channel, you playing in the foyer of your gallery, a public men's and women's room, with the sound turned down.
Okay, down.
Or sit on a couch, grab your favorite, brewski. Maybe you got some CBD or other things around you, some chips. Search for info channel
And crank
on
it up.
Roku and just turn it on. Stay there with it
For 24 hours.
and see what happens.
I
to
can't tell if this is culture jamming or not. I'm very excited.
You. Yeah. Adam.
Well, thank you, Ed. My next guest is Mr. Adam Vavrick.
Hello.
How are you?
Tired. How are you?
Do you want me to really answer that question?
I mean, if you want.
Sure.
I
I'll
don't tell
answer
you
it.
what to do.
I've been busy.
Yeah.
Right before this, I was at the Delilah's 13th annual.
Is it tonight?
Well, no, not their anniversary. That'd be their
That was
27th.
A couple weeks ago, I think.
No, it's the Oktoberfest and pumpkin beer tasting they do every year.
Oh my gosh, dude! How are you feeling about those pumpkin beers?
The pumpkin beers,
Aren't they late at this point?
yeah, they're late, but the clear
Shouldn't
winner,
those
the
should
clear
come out
winner
in
this
May.
year is always one of the best ones.
Pumpkin.
No, pumpkin.
Weyerbacher's double pumpkin.
Weyerbacher's done for. They're chapter 11. I thought they're donezo.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't pay attention anymore.
To pumpkin beers, you mean?
Southern
Yes.
Tier has gone. I mean, just
Oh, they leaned into the pumpkin beer? They've
well,
got more
they're
pumpkin
kind
beers
of-
now?
They went beyond
they're-
pumpkin.
no, they're jumping the shark a little bit.
Pump God. So
It's
there's
all
actually
it's,
Pump
it's
God
nitro.
now?
Everything they do is nitro. Only nitro kegs, nitro cans
Of pumpkin.
of pumpkin.
Wow.
And it has not served the beer well. This seemed like a sales-driven decision.
Yeah.
Sales team.
We got to get rid of that pumpkin beer because there's 5 trillion pumpkin beers. How do we differentiate our pumpkin beer? Nitro.
That high watermark was 20, I want to say 14. I think it was 2014.
The year of the pumpkin?
Nice. Yes. But I distinctly remember, I think I
It
ordered
destroyed the whole pumpkin market.
75 cases of pumpkin and stacked them. This was at Benny's. And
Peak pumpkin.
75 cases, and I ordered more, which was fine. The
Wow.
problem is everybody else ordered the same amount, and I got through mine because we got ours early, and I think it was a struggle to get through like the last 4 cases. And then the next year, irrational exuberance, everyone ordered the same stuff except for me. I took 5, I think it was. Or
Nice.
no, maybe I was gone by that point.
Nice move.
But I remember everybody getting stuck with a lot of beer.
Almost everybody.
Yeah, almost everybody.
I didn't get stuck.
I remember washing my clothes with pumpkin.
Yeah, people.
2000.
Are
Yeah,
like,
it's
"Oh."
true. You put your clothes in there and you beat it with a
Yeah.
rock. You
Or
know.
That was
I used
also
to
the year
brew.
that, the
the
distributors
year that
brought
pumpkin
in.
broke.
Yeah.
There's something.
No,
there.
but what happened was to be. Let's be real for just a half a moment. The distributors figured that everyone was going to bring in 150 cases
Yeah.
next year. The only problem was the market was flooded with pumpkin. It came out early, and every brewery made a pumpkin beer that year.
Yeah, 100%. They saw the success of pumpkin and decided to jump on. There weren't that many in the market as it were otherwise, and so suddenly the flood of seasonals came in, and everybody had one. Except for maybe like Bell's, who kept doing their double cream stout and their best brown and just killing it with those.
However, you also remember that the pumpkin beers started coming out in August. And then July, right?
Pumpkin beers never it went into a decline that year, after that year, that they have never recovered from and are still going down. And I'm telling you, what's the I'm bullish on pumpkin beers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think
Well, what
now's
happened?
the time
Now's the time for pumpkin beer.
to actually make a good one, guys.
All right, so
No.
Nobody's
it's not.
making them.
Give it
tell
another
me,
year.
Chris, what was
Yeah,
the
well,
best one?
it's too late this year, but my point is for next year.
Wow. What was the best one you had?
Anderson Valley, by far.
Oh, nice.
By far.
Thank you for the tip.
So much so that it's like really not worth buying any other one.
Um,
Just get the Anderson Valley. even here's the thing that was kind of sad. I want to try it again. The Dogfish Head one was a little underwhelming this year, which really bummed me out. That's usually one of my favorites.
You know what that's called? That's called the Sam Adams effect.
Yeah, the Sam Adams effect is in effect. It's so funny. Every time anything happens in him, it's just going to be Sam Adams came in and screwed it up. Oktoberfests as well. Some good international and national Oktoberfests. I handed my glass over there, and it has not come back yet.
Oh, I thought you gave me that glass. That's why I just drank out of it.
That's why you have 2 glasses?
I didn't have 2 glasses.
I'm going to give you the glass with paint all over it.
You want to know which Oktoberfests are best?
Yeah.
Pollen or Wiesen?
Look how many there are.
That is insane.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Delilah's record for insanity this month.
Who was the best? Let me look. The German ones are still really good. Schlenkerla, Märzen, if you want to call it an Oktoberfest, is so good. But after that,
that's a year round.
The Spaten was awesome. Weichstefan Festbier was really good. Eyinger, probably the best. No surprise there. The Paulaner Wiesen. Wiesen was great.
Yep.
The Paulaner Märzen was great too. And then domestic wise, Rev had a good one. Great Central had a good one. Great Lakes was good. Bell's was good. Left Hand was decent.
Which ones were terrible?
There were some that were just not really well done. Let me look. Capital just really was not a fan of. Buckle Down, no offense. I was not a fan of your entry this year. No offense. Haymarket made a pretty darn good one, I think. Hinterland was blah. Kingslager I thought was cool. Made a Festbier and a Märzen. I mean, talk about how German can you be. So A for effort with those guys. Leinenkugel's one of the worst. Odell's was like oddly sweet. I was not really digging that. Old Irving's was fine. Pipeworks was hoppy and fine. Pollyanna's was fine. Potosi no dig on that guy. Rhinelander, no dig. Sam Adams was fine. Schlafly was good.
This is the first year in, I think, 7 years I did not buy my annual case of Sam Adams Oktoberfest.
Yeah, they always bring it with Oktoberfest.
It's I think it's always been one of their best ones.
Two Brothers and Victory, no good, both of them.
Do you want to introduce the third guest?
I do.
Wait a minute, that's for the other show though. This is the Oktoberfest Pumpkin Beer Review show that's on until 8:15.
Well, I didn't try the Dovetail, Märzen. Maybe I will tonight. I don't know. Maybe my next guest can tell me if that's going to happen. No, she's saying no. Shana Solarte, how are you?
Happens,
Hey,
of
great.
Cicerone and Dovetail and maybe other places as well. I don't know.
Just there for now.
Okay. How are you?
Doing great.
Yeah?
Feeling good.
Good.
Drinking some beer.
Yeah. Have you had a bunch of Oktoberfest this year?
Not really. I haven't been drinking too many of them. The Dovetail one is quite nice.
It's nice. Yep. It's very similar to the Vienna.
Yeah, it's kind of like an amped up version of the Vienna this year.
Very similar. Yeah.
It's super toasty, caramely.
Yeah.
It's a party beer.
Yeah, it is. I think I like the Fest beers. I think unless you can do like a killer Märzen, Fest beer is the way to go.
Yeah, my overall favorite pretty much every year is the Polliner Wiesen.
It's so good.
It's so
that was
light,
one of the best
so
this year.
soft. They packaged it this year, which is exactly why, or they sent package to the U.S. anyway, and that's why.
Yeah. I think last year
They
was
got
actually
my
the first year
business.
they did it.
I don't remember seeing it in package last year, but we blew through a ton of kegs at Publican, which was lovely. And then Revs, every year Rev seems to get a little better at dialing in that sort of, balance
Absolutely.
of like
Revs
cut
is
it with
good
a
this
fork
year,
and
man.
knife, chewy to like everything else in balance. And This year, I think, is the best they've ever executed that.
I agree.
Kim brought a 6-pack home and was just like, "Oh man, it's so good," and threw me a can, and yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. I know it sounds ridiculous, but the Germans still do it best. Even shipping it all the way over here, they still do it better. They still do it better.
Yeah,
they still do it better. And it's funny.
Really,
I mean, I drank through so many just a few hours ago, and just smelling them, you'd be like, "Oh man, this one's great. Which one is it?" And I'd be like, "Oh, that's a German one." It's like it was. It's just something about it. They are just better. And for people who may not know the difference between a Fest beer and a Märzen, Adam, do you want to educate some people?
Yeah, so in Munich, under the tents, they serve what you no us, no ums. Sorry.
Yeah.
Nice, right? They serve Wiesen, Wiesen, not to be confused with Weizen. It means meadow. So originally it was meadow beer, so it's usually light, soft, very similar to a Helles style. While the contemporary Oktoberfest, specifically for the export market, are those big, rich, malty Märzens that you sort of assume is an Oktoberfest beer or have been programmed to. The Wiesens are meant to be consumed in massive quantities, liter upon liter.
The way I think I say it is, it's what is actually being drank under the tents.
Yes, and the 7 breweries within the grounds of Munich all make their own. Augustiner does, Paulaner does, etc. The only one that's really served under the tents there would be the Paulaner, and the Spaten, I think, would be the two. But I don't think Spaten sends their Wiesen over, if they make one. I don't even remember.
I don't know if they make one.
Paulaner does. Weinsteffen's does.
Hockershore probably. Hockershore makes a Fest beer.
Hockershore does, but I don't think I've ever seen it in package over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're nice. I don't know if I'd call it a Helles because it has like a malty body to it.
It's close.
But it's
closer.
It's closer to a Helles than a Märzen.
Yeah, and it's closer to a Helles than a Pilsner. It's not bitter by any stretch of the imagination. It just has that sort of soft, flowery kind of mint and snap that you'd get from, a very soft hopping rate.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, they're quite nice.
Yeah, they are very nice. But so I already asked you what's new. Everything's good. Everything
Great.
good.
Yeah,
great.
everything.
You're wearing your Yakima Chief hops hoodie.
I am.
It's hop season.
I went out to hop harvest this year.
Oh, did you?
Super fun.
Awesome.
Oh, can you talk about that
I've
for a
never
little
done
bit?
that.
I sure
Sounds
can.
great.
That's awesome.
Please do. The mic is yours.
It was great. I went out for YCH Hop School. They put on every year during hop harvest, and it was just a couple days of seminars and touring the farms and touring the
YCH is, I'm guessing,
Yakima
because your
Chief
hoodie
hops,
is
yes.
Yakima Chief hops. Okay.
Spent some time learning about like very, very technical sciencey stuff about hops that it was all way over my head, and then some more like technical, useful uses in brewing and some case studies about whether terroir is a thing. Turns out maybe it is.
Yeah,
It's definitely
it's definitely a thing.
right.
It's
Or was that question?
Well, yeah, it's definitely a thing. Yeah. The woman who presented it, she did her PhD thesis on it, on like the genome sequencing of hops grown in different regions from the same strain, which is pretty neat. And spent a day just sort of digging into all the different steps in the facilities, seeing things, seeing the vines get cut down and then baled up, and then the bale's broken and pelletized and extracted, and it was awesome.
That's super cool.
yeah, that's amazing.
It's really
You
fun.
know, a friend of mine, the beer trekker, told me that he was amazed actually by how well the workers were treated. A lot of immigrant workers moved to the Northwest to take care of these farms. And there's like people there for 15, 20 years.
Oh, they were
who could-
multi-generational.
Multi-generational, loving
Yep.
the gig of growing and harvesting these hops.
Yep.
So that was really interesting to hear.
A couple of the speakers that were there were like, yeah, my great-grandfather moved up here, and we just stayed, and we loved it so much, and here we are.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Did you
neat.
go to Bale Breaker,
Sure did. They're
which is the brewery inside a hop field, right? Kind of.
adjacent.
Yeah.
Hop field adjacent. It's a giant red barn house looking place, and their Top Cutter IPA, I could not get enough of it. It was outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good IPA, and it's owned by people who have a hop farm, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, so they get the good stuff. I'd say. Well, that's cool. What is? Can you distill maybe one cool thing you learned about hops that you didn't know? You, the director of education, or whatever your actual title is
Who
at
knows?
Cicerone.
I think my title's irrelevant at this point.
Whatever. Let's pretend.
You're the director of education at Cicerone.org?
Sure.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, let's go. with
Are you
that.
like the Ask Siri of Cicerones?
God, I hope not.
Well, I just asked her, what is a cool thing that you learned about
No
hops?
answer. No answer. You
No
notice
answer.
it's broken.
Here's what I found.
Did you deinstall?
Here's what I found
you
on a
deinstall
Google
the-
search.
You
Yeah.
deinstall that app, the Cicerone. So what?
Siri Roan,
So tell us.
Nice.
Alexa Roan. I didn't know about the byproduct of these new American noble hops.
What are those?
It's a byproduct of when they make the lupulin extract, I believe. Of course, I could be getting this wrong. It was a month ago. Drank a lot of beer. And the byproduct is just like leftover aromatic quality, and it's almost like noble hops. So there's this new thing that they're doing called American Nobles that people can
But it
buy.
isn't from a noble hop. It's just
Right.
it's from,
It's from American hops.
like, Cascade or Citra, and then they
Yeah.
do an extract, and then
Take
there's
out all
this
the
stuff
alpha,
left.
Yeah, take out all the alpha, make a really solid alpha extract, and then what's left over is strictly aromatic.
Huh.
And they're
But what is it? What is the
I
stuff?
mean, I would guess it's probably
it's another extract. It's like a liquid syrupy thing.
It's probably
or like a powder.
like leftover terpenes or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting.
So they're marketing it as American Noble, and people are buying it to use as aromatics, and it's got a lot of similar qualities to classic noble hops.
But it's not like the cryo stuff.
No, it's a byproduct of cryo,
Byproduct of cryo.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
which is the extract that they're making, and then what's left over is American Noble. I don't know. I've been trying to read up on it because I don't understand it.
Is this like trying to use every part of the buffalo? Is this like, well, this stuff's left over. Let's
Sell it.
Can we use it?
sell it.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, look at what people are making today, Chris. You put a fried chicken in your beer. Why don't you use the real hop instead once in a while?
Well, it's more to me like my father was
A hop.
it was a hop. No, he was at Applebee's, and believe it or not, I don't think I've ever been to an Applebee's, and he had never been to an Applebee's, and they were telling him, the people he was with, that these riblets were amazing, and he had to try these riblets. Wherever, I think this was Applebee's, it's wherever they have riblets. And he said, riblet, what's a riblet? What kind of, is it like a rib cut in half? And they get it, and they're eating them, and they were like round bones, not like a rib, but like
Yeah, I was there.
like a disc.
I was there for that, for the plastic bones and the McRibs.
And
How
he's
is-
like,
how's-
riblet. He's
how-
like,
yeah.
this is a spine. You're just eating the meat off of a spinal column, and it's just like, call it a riblet, and then you can sell it because you're just eating an animal's spine.
Have you ever been to brunch?
Yes.
I mean, it's basically, in some cases, just leftover bits of stuff from dinner service that didn't sell that ends up getting incorporated into the next morning's menu. So that could be, this is where Scrapple comes from. This is where
delicious.
all this stuff comes from, is a reuse, or at least a lack of wanting to be wasteful.
An upcycle, if you will.
At least
Yeah,
Scrapple
I like that.
is
Delicious.
it's delicious, but it's also honest in its name. Scrapple.
Doesn't sound appetizing.
It's Scrapple. And if you look at the list of ingredients, it says like snouts, jowls, hearts, skin, all that stuff. And it's
I didn't
delicious.
know.
Fry it up.
I thought Scrapple was just a flavored tea beverage that was pretty awesome back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's
Wendy.
Arizona.
The Scrapple lady?
Wendy. Yeah, the Scrapple lady.
Yeah.
That's true. You're right. Never mind. Okay, so we're already over, but I don't know how to go to break, and I've
It's
been
okay.
trying to.
You know what?
Producer Jamie, who's
You know what?
sitting right next to me.
All
I
you have to do
assure
right
you.
now is look at the board up there and do something. Say something like, Hey, thank you
I'll
for
do
listening.
it. Okay. Thanks for listening to WLPN. Right now, we're going to hear from our sponsors, which are people's favorite beers. Okay, Edmar, what beer have you had lately that you've enjoyed?
Scrapple Juice 5000s from the hilltops of Yakima, Oregon.
All right. Ed, well done.
This is
Okay.
Scrapple Juice.
Is there a beer that you've had?
Made for triple wet hop from the remains of the cryo flavor pills that makes the noble flavor shine through. You know what, Chris?
Tell me, Ed.
I think one of my favorite beverages of the last
Beverages.
of the last few weeks is
What
this
is that?
is this Casimira Club Sparkling Amaro soft drink. There's 4 different flavors.
Excuse me?
Sparkling Amaro soft drink. Yep. Capo is the name of this one.
So, Ed,
And-
tell me the truth. Tell me
Yes.
You have to promise to tell me the truth.
About what?
No, about what I'm about to ask you.
Okay, I will.
You promise.
Yes, sir.
How much of what you like about that is the graphic design?
Oh, that's a good question.
Having a really good visual
Now,
show tonight.
Chris, as everyone on the air can see right now, it is a beautifully designed bottle. But
And I know how you think, Ed.
well, honestly, I got to this because I'm making botanical beverages myself, and as I was using the Cicerona Siri and querying about other botanical seltzers, I came across this line. And then one of my colleagues at work actually had a case of this sent to her. I tasted it and I said, no way. I ordered the 3 other flavors and an additional case, and I've been drinking this thinking to myself, they must burn off the bitters or burn off the alcohol to make this taste really yummy. So, of course, I was surprised at how beautiful the label looks. Like everyone else who's listening on the air right now can tell. It's a beautiful label.
Smells awesome.
But take a sip. It's
No,
good.
you have no.
Yeah, okay.
I'll take it.
Here, come over here.
Do you have any more?
Not on me. I've also been drinking, of course.
Oh, it smells lovely.
Yeah, every low fill. Actually, I would take full 4 packs of beer from the brewery. And I did try the Oktoberfest
it's really
from Rev,
dry.
and it's delicious. So yeah, besides botanical beverages, spirit-free beverages, my most recent beverage that I've had that I enjoyed was that Revolution Oktoberfest jam.
That's good.
Yeah.
So here's something. It's from
Give that
Detroit.
back to me, Chris.
It's from Detroit, Michigan, and they use Mediterranean sea salt.
Yeah,
Because you know,
absolutely.
it's worth it. It's worth to ship the sea salt in.
Terroir matters, Chris.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah,
Especially with salt.
yeah, totally. Sodium, it's not just sodium.
Anymore.
That's why I get mine from the Himalayan sea salt.
Well,
You're all in on that pink salt, huh?
Can I?
Oh, it's all I put it on everything.
Can I just say,
If I'm making pasta, I dump it into the water first.
after looking at this label, wouldn't you be disappointed that there wasn't Mediterranean sea salt in this beverage?
Probably. Hey, Vavrick.
Well, it was nice to taste Zinnebeer on draft recently from Brasserie de la Zen. I haven't had that since I was in Belgium, and it was delicious. And then, honestly, I'm kind of on a hoppy kick this week.
No way.
Just 'cause-
You?
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
I don't believe this.
It doesn't happen often. No, that's true. All I brought was hoppy stuff. I brought some Northeast Hero from Rev, which is what I'm drinking right now. But I'm going to go into the future as opposed to the past and
dig
say
it.
that I am incredibly, incredibly excited and looking forward to picking up a case of Three Floyd's Brewdew, which is my favorite wet hop beer.
Cool.
And so I'll be probably driving to Indiana next week to pick up a case. Very excited.
Very cool. Very cool. I like that they're starting to put out some of those beers in 6-packs. It's great to have some of those bomber beers in 6-packs now. Moloko just came out in 6-packs.
Yep.
And it's awesome to revisit some of their seasonals, which are so good. And oddly, they're one of the few breweries that I feel is putting out like true month-long seasonals now, at least locally. I'm not saying the only people out there who I know I'm going to get texts from, angry texts about it, but
I can't believe you're calling out all those people right now live on the air.
it's great that they have a seasonal. This is a milk stout seasonal. It's awesome.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
what's great, too, is that Three Floyds remains as one of the top breweries in our region, right?
I mean, I really think they've had a renaissance in the past 12 months. I mean, they're doing really well. Their sour program has been doing well.
Thank you for giving me the nod about that, because I was thinking to myself about a year ago, saying, I really hope Three Floyds does something extraordinary this next year, and they did.
Yeah,
it's because I wished for it.
It's true.
And on, excuse me, and on top of all of that,
you were there too, wishing for that.
No, but Ed, let's get real for a moment.
Yeah.
How about some other breweries that you feel like are
that I
just
love?
Well, but locally even or regionally that are just following, and I don't get that feeling as much from Three Floyds. I'll just put that out there.
You know me,
I feel it about Three Floyds less now than I did 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I felt like Three Floyds maybe had lost their direction a little bit. They were just putting out IPA after IPA after IPA after IPA.
Well, they got
they're not anymore.
They had to start another brewery.
But that stuff's getting out now.
But they had to start another brewery. They had War Pigs that they had to reboot. They had to start. So they put some attention there. They got it launched. It's no longer in incubation mode. It's its own functioning monster and beast. There's giant 18-wheeler trucks with War Pigs graphics on it. So now they're going back and refocusing on the Three Floyds, the core stuff, the juice that made us all really happy back in the 60s. Other brands that I think are leading and not following? Is that one of the questions?
Sure.
I mean, I really do. Of course, I often bring up Half Acre as one of my favorite breweries. And I love the fact that a gentleman I know named Lee, right, started there as like a volunteer, worked in the shop.
On the packaging line.
On the packaging.
You're right, in the shop.
In the shop. Then went to packaging. Is now the lead seller blending dude.
He's awesome.
And it's
and
through that.
One of one of the best guys in beer,
people,
I think.
Yeah. One of the best people in beer, and also one of the handsomest, Lee. If you're listening now, I would love to get a photograph with your autograph on it, buddy.
I would too.
But yeah, so Half Acre, I think, does a pretty good job. And they've managed to capture people's attention with their standard pale ale, IPA stuff they've been doing all the time. I mean, Mr. Master of the use of the hops, Matt Gallagher, he is using every part of a hop. He actually uses the air around the hops to make beer. That guy's nuts.
It's amazing.
So Half Acre's one. I am disappointed by some breweries. Like Founders, for many reasons. Bell's is kind of boring to me, although I know you guys just love their seasonal stuff, their double cream stuff.
Why are they boring to you?
It might have something to do with the fact that their graphic design does not evoke the use of Mediterranean sea salt.
I knew it. I knew it.
You know that? I mean, I do love Two Hearted. I'll pour Two Hearted all over my body before I take a shower. But you know what? I've lost that excitement of like, oh my gosh.
That love and feeling. You've lost that love and feeling.
Remember when the stuff would just come out, you'd freak out? And what about all the crazy stouts from Dark Horse? Remember when the Dark Horse coming out with every flavored stout was like a dream? Yeah. I don't even know if I've seen their beer in Chicago.
The blueberry stout was so good, man.
So
Plead
that's
the Fifth
another one that's lost their way. Because
I was like the two.
Now, did they join a conglomerate? Is that why? Did they
No.
Okay.
I think they're sucking back in. I don't think their distribution game is doing great. I don't know.
Well, how can you have a good distribution game in this city?
Yeah.
If you're from outside the city.
Yeah. But Michigan's a huge homer.
You got to have a niche.
Yeah. But I think they could, I'd love to see more Dark Horse here.
What about you guys? Who do you think
But wait,
who else
Shana
is
still has to talk about what beer she's been into or looking forward to trying.
I wanted her to dunk in a brewery instead.
Maybe she'll do both at the same time.
I don't like to speak ill of those who are already down.
Yeah, I'm just going to go
then
straight.
Hype someone.
I'm going to go straight to Siri. And Siri says that Roke Brewing is acquired Dark Horse Brewing and is about to acquire Dark Horse Brewing in
just happened
in a merger.
Wait, are you joking?
Wow, no kidding.
Just happened.
Rogue?
Yeah. This happened like
Roke.
no
ROAK.
No, Royal Oak.
Oops. Wait a minute. What?
Roke. That's the local parlance.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, this happened.
Huh.
Never heard of Royal
2-3
Oak.
weeks ago.
Never heard of them.
Yeah. When you brought up Dark Horse, I was like, wait a second. Something happened recently.
That's what I thought,
That's
too.
what happened recently.
So maybe that's why I'm no longer excited about their stouts.
Because 2 weeks
in
ago,
the last 2 weeks.
They've lost their.
they've lost their mojo, their love and feeling,
and they sold themselves to Roke.
Arcadia's Dunzo, I believe.
Yep.
Completely,
Or a couple of them.
Completely done so.
I don't know if all of them are, but
I
they've been
think
closing
that's-
up a couple shops.
They're done.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. I always had my heart on my sleeve for them. Tim Surprise was one of the early people that I met in the industry, and I got to go to the brewery and visit somebody that was actually using open fermentation with weird English yeast that nobody was using, and I don't know.
They were never my favorite.
Their Nut Brown was awesome though.
Yeah.
That was a great beer.
A little
Dark
squirrel
Horse
on
was
the
good.
label.
Yeah.
I like the squirrel.
Yeah.
Dark Horse is good. Their labels were so pathetically bad that I think it really hurt them. They made some good beers. I like the Dose Blueberry Stout. For someone who does not like fruited stouts, I thought that beer was so incredibly good. But Shana, beers that you've either had recently that stood out or that you're looking forward to trying. Anything?
So I was just in Montreal, and the beer in Montreal.
I was in Yakima. I was in Montreal.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on the show, Chris. The beers in Montreal were fine, but there was one brewery that was quite good. And I don't speak French, so I'm not going to try to say it correctly, but it looked like hurricane. It was like Hurricana. And
Hurricane.
yeah, probably like that. And while I was there, I tried a smoked Pilsner, or they called it a smoked Pilsner, an English Porter, and a Best Bitter, and all three were outstanding. So shout out to Montreal.
Hurricane. Brewery.
Yeah.
Hurricane.
Oh, that's good.
Ouais.
Way.
We. Very good. So you had a lot of beer that wasn't good. So
It was just fine.
Well, I'm gonna try to do what Ed wants, and that's to throw shade. So you weren't a fan of Dieu du Ciel?
I was a fan of Dieu du Ciel,
Oh, sorry, Ed.
but I was more of a fan of.
Yeah,
Le Hurricane.
Thank you.
that's good. That's good.
Dieu du Ciel had a better space.
They have a cool
that's,
space.
Yeah, that's a bar I could hang out in.
Very map room-esque.
Yeah, cozy, low ceilings, dark.
Yeah.
It was like sunsetty when I was there too.
Ooh.
It was just super cozy. Didn't want to leave.
Yeah, I like that. Like
But-
very we are a bar. We're not like a industrial vibe, corrugated metal type deal. Yeah. Okay. Well, can we do a little break, Mr. Trekker? Would that be cool if we maybe do some station promos for a minute or two and then come
I'm
back
going to go
with
check
more?
out the info channel right now.
Yeah, go check, see what's going on, and then we'll be back with more of the Beer Temple Insiders.
You know I need your love. You got that hold over me.
Welcome back to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. It's okay. You're excused. I'm your host, Chris Quinn. I'm joined by EdMar, Castle Vav, and the Yakima Chief, Shana.
I think I'm Truck Vav now.
Yeah, you're fine. You're whatever you are. Surprised you didn't bring that up when I asked you what was new, but that's fine. You can bring it up later. So I have in my hands, guys,
Looks like a phone.
a photograph of a handwritten letter.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you guys want to
Let's go.
write a letter, you can send it to not the Co-Prosperity Sphere, not to Lumpen Radio. Send it to the Beer Temple, 31, yeah. Oh my gosh, what is my address?
You can Google that. You can Siri that.
31.
You can Alexa the address.
Oh no, I just forgot my address. 3175. Oh no, 3170. I don't remember.
Look, all of us are on our phones. We can just look.
Just what's my address? 3173 North Elston Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. That's 60618. Just put the Beer Temple on there. It'll get there.
3173
Yeah, there you go.
North Elston Avenue. in
I used to be at
Chicago.
3185, and I moved.
Yeah,
and that's what
sure,
confused me.
Chris,
That's
sure.
true. Anyway, if you send it to 3173, or you can send it to insiders@craftbeertemple.com, and I'll get it there.
A photo of your
As well.
handwritten letter.
You can also do that. In fact, if you're going to send it to the co-pro, definitely also send documentation in digital form to me. So I forgot to bring the letter.
I mean, let's just make an announcement right now about a contest here.
Yeah.
If you mail a letter to
Yes.
the Co-Prosperity Sphere at 3219 South Morgan, Chicago,
It will be
Illinois,
lost.
60608, and we actually receive the letter, and we read your letter on the air, you're going to win a bunch of swag from Lumpin' Radio, and I will throw in some additional swag from a local brewery.
And I also,
We'll throw in some swag.
I throw in
want
the
Lumpin's
the
You
dust
want some
shirt.
swag? You want to add
I could
some
throw
swag?
some swag in.
We're gonna have-
I have stickers.
We're
There
gonna
you
have.
go.
We're
I
gonna
have
have
nothing to add.
We
but
are
I
gonna
just
have.
want it.
We're gonna have a massive swag pack if you mail a letter to this address, and we actually get
Which
it.
address? This one here?
It's
Co-Pro.
right here. Co-Pro, yeah, 3219 South Morgan Street.
You're going to lose it, Ed.
But if we get that letter,
No,
imagine
you do get it, and
but
then you lose
exactly.
it.
But imagine if you got through.
All right.
The building.
So now it's like the running of the salmon, and it's like
Send 10
the
letters.
snapping jaws of the
Send-
Grizzlies.
send-
but it's just like people
Yeah.
randomly throwing it into the trash.
Send 5 letters, and one of them will get through.
It's true.
All right. So we suggest that you send 5 letters, same letter, photocopy it, whatever, print it out. Send 5 letters to this address. If one of them gets through, we get that letter, we read it on the air. Massive swag pack delivered to your home.
Yeah.
So don't forget your return address.
We'll leave the return address on there, of course, part of the letter, like the whole.
Self-addressed stamped.
No,
envelope.
you don't need to do that. We've got a FedEx account.
All right, so here's the letter that I got, handwritten. Okay. Dear Insiders, I've been thinking a lot about the guest experience of tap rooms lately. If tap rooms are the lifeblood of so many breweries, why is the hospitality often lacking? It's always a bummer to go to a new brewery only to find that their bar has the same warehouse/adult rec center vibe as many others. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and while there are a few exceptions, it seems like the only difference between the 30-plus tap rooms is the beer selection. Is the beer the only reason people go? Is this something you see in Chicago too? I feel like there is a ton of room for growth in this aspect of the beer industry, but maybe I'm just being too Asheville specific. Anyway, thank you for taking the time to read this. I'm a big fan of the show and hope to visit the Beer Temple and some non-cornhole focused breweries soon. Cheers, Alex. Alex, thank you so much. I will be sending you a swag pack, which has at least one shirt, which is the Dust and Dust and Dust and Dust shirt. So if you want to send me another letter with your T-shirt size, that would be helpful. I appreciate that. I think it's a good letter, and I have an answer, but I'm curious what you guys think.
I've been texting people this whole time.
Yeah.
And I completely missed the questions in the letter.
It's okay. How about you, Adam?
Okay. I think there's a couple reasons for this.
For what? Can you help me?
Paraphrasing the letter.
Did you really not hear any of it? You're the best, Ed.
Paraphrasing the letter to make sure I understand it correctly, so that I'm answering the right question. Why
Ed gets back onto his phone immediately.
Why? It's
I'm
because
listening.
tap rooms are
I'm
built.
listening.
Tap rooms are built for insular people on their phones that are using Untapped. No, that's not true. No, I think it's a few things.
Partially.
One, most of the people that start breweries do not work in the hospitality industry and don't have that experience behind them to understand what the guest experience looks like from that side and to go out of their way to do it. And honestly, I didn't have that either until I actually worked in a restaurant. So that vastly changed how I felt about going to tap rooms, going to bars, going to restaurants, etc. You kind of, once you have those eyes, you don't turn them off. So I'm guessing this person probably works in the service industry in some capacity. Secondly, a lot of these breweries, tap rooms are built as, an afterthought. Like, obviously they're important to the business model, but if it's a production brewery,
Not anymore, baby.
Well, you're
Not anymore,
you still
baby.
got to make it. So you're maximizing your space to make sure you put in epoxied floors that slope down with trench drains and room for your tanks and your centrifuges and all that. The tap room, therefore, I don't want to say it's an afterthought, but it's not where the money is going into at that time when it comes to things like dark mahogany bars or proper lighting or music.
Sound panels for.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Man, the acoustics in most of these places are just god-awful because it's concrete and steel and, 100%. The benefit is that you don't see crappy drop ceilings and, crap like that. The third aspect to this, I think, is kind of what I was joking about with the Untapped thing. You might not be going to this place to meet other people and to have a bar experience. Typically, you are there specifically for the beer, and therefore, the assumption is you are writing notes about it, you're in your phone about it, whatever. You'll see communal tables for it, but that's really kind of it. And I guess the fourth thing is the one thing I miss about Wisconsin is that everybody had something to do in their bar, whether that was and tap room, whether or not that was. It could be cornhole, sure.
Bar games.
Bar games, yeah. Things like that to keep you kind of interested. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Somebody pick up that thread, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll pick it up. All right, go for it.
I'm going to pick it up because just even bringing up cornhole and tap rooms just equates lame. I mean, there's a lot of lame stuff out there, but I would argue a lot of people start breweries, whether they're brew pubs for specifically, are designed like hospitality or restaurant bar environments, usually.
He said tap rooms, not brew pubs, which is why I didn't.
Does he know the difference, though?
Yes.
I think so.
He lives in
All right,
Nashville.
I'm
I
back.
think
Yeah,
he
he
knows
knows-
the difference.
yeah.
Oh, he's in Nashville?
Asheville.
Asheville.
Oh, my gosh. Well, there's like 100 places for him to visit. And
Right.
so he's noticing the lameness of most tap rooms.
Also, Alex could be they. We don't know.
Yeah. So I guess that's my comment. It's like you're right about that. I agree with you, Adam, that some people don't have experience in the industry. They're afterthoughts. They're appendages to the main function of the production of the beer that's going on there. Other people actually do design tap rooms that are completely lame and unoriginal and unbelievably boring places to check out as well. And I'm not sure if it's because they haven't been part of the hospitality industry. If you're a brewer in a brewery and you're selling your beer to every restaurant and bar around you for years, you might have noticed the interiors of other restaurants and bars. And you might have picked up a few tips on how to design your tap room.
It's also expensive to hire a designer, to hire somebody that will do art, to do woodcuts, to do
Custom, you're right.
like
custom design
pieces.
furniture. You're absolutely right.
That stuff is
it's cost prohibitive.
expensive. Yeah.
Very cost prohibitive.
Yeah, and I think a lot of tap rooms, the design and the look and feel are going to be the vision of maybe one or two people. So it's maybe not consulted on guest experience. It's just the two people who are putting the money and the work and the time
I want
in.
some
saying,
barrels on the floor
yeah,
with some boards put on top of them.
all of our tables should be made of barrel staves. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you think it's cool, or like the wood and concrete and what are those the Edison bulbs or whatever? Like, oh, it's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, sure, it was, but everybody thought it was cool, and now they're everywhere. So,
Yeah.
and I think what Alex pointed out in the letter was all this. What is it, like concrete and metal? Great. Everyone's got a really nice concrete poured bar with corrugated metal where your feet are. Easy to clean? Sure.
Spray it down, baby. Get your sanitizer out.
Tap room with spray balls. It's the easiest thing.
CIP. CIP right on the
CIP
top.
the
That
tap
is a
room.
genius. Now, if a brewery had a CIP in the tap room and just washed the whole damn thing down
Every
after
night.
every night,
Every night.
I would go there every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CIP
I would just vomit.
I'm going to
and
open up
just-
CIP
I'd
tap
pull a
house.
John Hall on the bar. Well, not John Hall.
Greg.
I'd pull a Greg Hall every night at the bar.
Yikes.
It'd be amazing. Because you CIP, it's clean in place.
So there's two
You
things.
can do whatever you want.
I think you guys are all 100% right. I'll add two things to it though. First, I think that people are also now copying what they've seen of their favorite tap rooms, and now that's become the thing you expect. It's become like punk rock, where punk rock to me, or like hippies,
Metal.
like they haven't
Steel
really
Three
evolved.
Floyds.
Like
Steel
the
Three
hippies
Floyds.
now are just thinking
Yeah.
about what hippies in the 60s looked like, and I'm going to look like this. And it's like, okay, I have to look like a tap room. I need to have a corrugated metal, wall and all that sort of stuff. It has to have this industrial feel to it.
It's also where they're zoned sometimes, so they can get away with, not necessarily putting up certain amenities or drywall or
Right.
having to do that.
Yeah, your bathroom can be a piece of sheet metal on a hinge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well-
so I think there's part of that. But the flip side of that's not even my part 2. This is part 1B, is that now the customer likes it to feel a little raw, like they're at this maker space. So it's like going to do you want to buy furniture from like an artisan woodworker who's like his place is covered in sawdust and he's like, got his tools all over the place, or do you want it in this like sparkling showroom and stuff like that with these beautiful pieces? Now, some people would like to buy it in each place. Some people want to go to Michigan Avenue and see a perfect piece of furniture art. Somebody else wants to see a guy, in a dusty shop, and that's where they want to buy the furniture from, where the guy is making this in his shed. And I think some people dig that vibe from a tap room. And then the second part, I'll say, is I think all of that will change. And I think people will start to catch up to the bars very quickly. I think it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to start, but I think it'll happen rapidly.
It's already happened. You can look at modern times as if you're looking to rip off someone out there, brewery owner, brewery planner, just check out one of the 50 breweries modern time zones.
I went to their DTLA location.
I think Brewdog was even
maybe
ahead of them, Ed.
2 years
Brewdog
ago.
was the first, man.
Possibly, yeah.
They were ahead of it.
I don't know. I think that there's room for all of these. I think it's interesting that most of our overall architecture, at least in the U.S., ends up being, I don't want to say brutalist, but it has these sort of weird gray and, washed out cream and stone colors. Like if you look at any modern housing right now, that's what's going in. It's
Cement block.
Yeah. It's utilitarian, and it ends
Made
up
of quartz.
looking a little brutalist, or like, if you were to strip away the nice kitchens and, the backsplashes, it would look like, Soviet era stuff.
Yeah, like a East Berlin flat.
Yeah, exactly. And
Which would actually be a great aesthetic for a brewery.
I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have some kid doing parkour on the roof.
Yeah. Techno club
Love
style interior.
Love
The
it.
Craftwork room going
And I mean,
on.
I would go there every day.
Yeah,
This
and
would be
also,
phenomenal.
if you're building a brewery, you're typically building in an industrial space. There's only X amount you could do without throwing tons of money for the development of a interior design project. So,
But it's all going to change. It's all going to get caught up.
some places it will, but the utilitarian function of a space is something that's very difficult to hide.
I'll also
Dude.
add that this is something that I've been thinking about a lot, because now that I've got a distributor or a distribution company, and I'm thinking about how that business is going to change over the next 5 years. I like the idea of having a space within my space that I could have people come into, and then I have to think about, because if it were just me, it would look like a scene out of Hellraiser.
Which is a great
as
look.
the resident goth kid, like
I think that's a good
it would
look.
be chains and weird stuff everywhere. But
Neon.
maybe like the cool blue neon or
Yeah.
like purple with smoke machines. It'll look like Exit basically for you Chicago kids. But seriously though, like I can't take my brain and put that into a space. I'm just not. It wouldn't be. I don't think it would be beneficial for everybody. For their enjoyment. So then I have to think, okay, well, if it's not my aesthetics, and I've been like going through and looking at pictures of all kinds of stuff for inspiration, and I haven't really found anything that has matched what I see in my head yet. So I don't know, just kind of weird.
What? You haven't seen anything that matched your head in your head?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I'd like to have a space at the wholesaler where people can come in and either drink beer.
I see
or-
your aesthetic more of like I don't know, 18th century Japan dojo. And everyone has to remove their shoes and their swords and place them on the mantle.
Oh, they got the shoe vents there too, huh?
Of course they have shoe vents. They're everywhere. And then people walk in and meet you on the mats, and you're sitting up there on your little kind of like stool made of the bones of animals that you've killed yourself by hand. And they talk to you. And they talk to you about what kind of beers you're bringing in, what they could purchase. And when they place an order, you activate the lever in the floor, and it drops them into a pit, which then brings them outside to the parking lot.
It's funny. I'm seeing it much more as a Highlander thing.
Yeah.
Where
Ooh.
it's like two people
Big-
who
it's like
are
a
like
forest.
these big like kind of weird eternal gothic war vibes going on.
Even the buyer of the beers in gear, in a kilt.
Yes.
With war paint.
Exactly. And
They meet him in his, what?
giant double-handed swords.
Stonehenge style setting.
Yes, exactly. A lot of like pewter dragons and
Now,
stuff
Chris,
like that.
I know that you planned this episode to interject these ideas, which is really a great time for us to introduce our Designing with Ed and Chris show.
Yes.
Which is our new kind of like offshoot of the Insiders Roundtable, where Chris and I basically rehab your brewery.
The round table's inside.
The round tables are
Yeah.
inside, yeah, and we actually rehab and flip
like
your
bar
brewery.
rescue. It's like bar rescue.
We flip your tap room or brewery.
But instead of turning every bar into an Applebee's like they do on Bar Rescue,
Yeah.
we're going to turn every bar into like a
Fantasy war game film.
fantasy war game.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a follow-up to that question that I think might be an interesting exercise for all of us. Why don't we all go around and talk about maybe one spot that we really like aesthetically, that we enjoy going to, drinking beer and
Are you
eating
trolling me? Are you trying to set me up for just more?
No, I'm asking
I know
for
where it
something
Yeah,
is.
I
good.
feel a little set up too.
Yeah.
I'm not set up because I know this immediately.
Okay.
Because I was just there. Delilah's.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
a great
the vibe.
bar.
I love the vibe of that
Yes.
place.
Kim once
Even the bathrooms. I was telling Mike Miller, the owner, I said, Mike, you have my favorite bathrooms in any like bar restaurant establishment.
Is that because you keep a lot of sanitary devices on your body? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Kim, when the Chicago Reader used to do like the user polls of like where you could write in your favorite things for the year end, Kim actually wrote in the best Delilah's for the best tables to be drunk on whiskey under.
Nice.
Because there were roller derby parties there that used to happen.
Ah.
She definitely drank too much whiskey and just kind of sat under one drinking more whiskey once.
Yeah.
It's marvelous.
That place is amazing.
Yeah, the aesthetic there is beautiful.
Because he has attention to detail. He's an artist. Upstairs, like you have in Chicago, there's a window. There is an upstairs, and there's a window that faces a brick wall. There's a gangway, and there's a brick wall right there. And instead of just having a house window that just looks out into a brick wall, he had someone come in and paint this like pseudo graffiti thing, which apparently was done with a brush taped to a pool cue.
Beautiful.
And then he had a spotlight that looks like it's just lighting the gangway, but it's really lighting the art. So you look out and you have this lit thing that's second story up. So it just looks like graffiti, but then you're on the second floor. This was intentional. And it's intentionally punk and grungy and perfect, and I loved that. And their mirror is like smashed, and I love it. How about you, Adam?
I really like Essen House in Madison.
That place is cool.
It's a German restaurant / bar. They have volleyball courts out in the back in the big.
Why do you like that place so much?
I don't know. It just feels like home to me, and I have no reason to feel.
Kind of like
that
got
way.
a horse brass vibe in Portland.
Okay, yeah,
I dig
a little
it.
bit. It's really, really old school. It's like really deep, dark mahogany that's been there for 100 years, kind of thing. There's glass cases that are a little bit yellowed from cigarette smoke over the years, with little German tchotchkes inside. Things like that. Always, I love those. I was just at
You enter through the back, which is always like a weird little quirky
Yep,
thing.
the door feels like it would just fall off its hinges at any point, but it weighs 800 pounds for some reason, and they're way oversized in this weird colored green. And yeah, similarly, I was just in LA and went to a place called the Red Lion Tavern in Silver Lake, which is very similar. Weird carpet on the floor.
Oh, it sounds already incredibly English.
Yeah, there's a piano,
Carpet,
or there's
yeah.
a piano right there that somebody plays.
Beautiful.
On that first floor, it's all German style food. It's German immigrants that own it and serve it. It's just very. It's got the Gemütlichkeit, It's cool. And then the patio's upstairs on the third floor and just sort of overlooks, the hills, and it was really cool. So that I guess that's my type of aesthetic that that I always just feel like I'm at home in.
Dig it. Shana, anything?
Yeah, when you posed that question, I maybe it's because I was just there, but DCL, it's just a small room with a couple different layers of height to it. There's a little seating section that's just above everything, and then there's some
and crowded. It's like
top tables, and it's
the
very
tables
tight.
are crowded,
Yeah.
which I think is not a bad thing at all. It's
It's-
little tables you crowd around.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's little tables. So if you're going to bring in a big group, like you're really going to have to do some work to bring in a big group, and you still feel like you're part of the overall community. You're not like off to the side with your group of 10 people.
I will
And
say to that,
couple bar stools. I really like that you can see everything, but it doesn't feel crowded.
Old Town Ale House is very much that way too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
here in Chicago, it's very much like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a cool vibe. Ed, I mean,
So if I were to start a new thing in town, anywhere, I would take the old Dutch pub aesthetic, tiny
the
tables.
brown bar, yeah,
Brown bar, tiny tables included, and that would be the vibe with all kinds of stuffed animals, ancient artifacts, weird stuff all around, and a handsome man wearing a white shirt and a tuxedo vest serving me.
serving you Yennefer.
Yeah, Yennefer. Yeah. So that would be a cool aesthetic. And if you listen to our other podcast and show, Chris and Ed's taproom makeover, you'll see what we did to a little place in Naperville.
Yeah,
And
it
we
was great. It was in a
transformed-
strip mall.
In a strip mall, we transformed it into an old school Amsterdam brown pub.
Yep, and they specialize in Yennefer.
Yep. It's incredible.
And
They
to
have-
think that like
they have,
giant,
like, one
giant
beer.
Jenga used to be the focus in that place.
Well,
Yeah.
that's right. We turned the giant Jenga into furniture.
We haven't
into
heard from
matchstick
them.
table furnitures.
We haven't heard from them.
Well, they're doing-
They kind of went quiet, but we'll have to figure out what's going on.
because they're so
Follow
busy.
up next season. We'll follow up next season. And then, of course, in our next episode, we're taking a Naperville-based tap room and brewery and bringing it to make an urban environment in Chicago. That's going to be an awesome, awesome makeover to bring a suburban place to Chicago and make it like Chicago cool.
What neighborhood do you think that'll be in?
Somewhere on the northwest side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be sweet. Somewhere funky, somewhere cool, where a lot of people are living, close to Logan Square. It's going to be great.
Cool. Well, good luck to me and you. I've got some ideas.
I've
for
been
that
thinking
one.
a lot about it. I've been thinking about like the broken window aesthetic of Delilah's. Like that's going to be in a lot of places.
You're just going to go and smash all their windows, aren't you?
no. We
Come
don't
on.
smash. What do we call that technique?
It's brutalist. It's
Brutalist
It's
aesthetic.
Brutalist.
Artfully brutal.
No, a brutalist. Oh my gosh, I forgot the word. Chris, where's the producer?
I don't know, but I know exactly what you mean, and it's just taking something and
Gently crushing it.
yeah, gently crushing it,
And
kind
putting
of.
glue spray on top of it to maintain the broken glass effect in the mirror. Yeah. Forgot the technique. But yeah, I mean, there's so many great places that you can go to in Chicago. For example, these old school bars that you mentioned, like Bernice's is the classic dive bar of Chicago. However, it's really unique because the owner of the bar also has a lot of his artwork and his friends' artwork up. So you see a lot of interesting kind of portraits of people who live in the neighborhood next to really old, crappy Schlitz paraphernalia and then, weird stuff. But I also like, these brutalist spots, right?
How about this? Have any of you guys been to Brian's in Milwaukee? It is an old house.
The cocktail joint?
That has been made into a cocktail joint. It's got this orange, super dark orange lighting. It looks like a Coke den from the 70s. They all wear tuxes with cummerbunds and everything.
That's probably the best bar.
The huge lit fish tanks, an intense 1960s Macintosh sound system
Beautiful.
that they play R&B
Beautiful.
over, and they specialize in, I think, ice cream cocktails or something like that. That place is so
Legendary.
awesome.
It's amazing.
It's
They don't. I mean, there's no menu
awesome.
because their bartenders just know everything.
anything.
And am I going to get beat up by saying that Milwaukee probably has cooler bars than Chicago?
Oh, it absolutely
They
does.
have
Is
a
anyone
lot of
gonna
cool bars,
kick my
man.
butt here?
They got-
Jamie, you don't
They
agree?
got
They have
great
good
bars.
ones.
I do agree.
We all agree. The consensus on this is
Yeah.
that we agree that So why don't
Let's
we
take
go?
this show on the road.
You know what? Let's take this
Love
show
it. Travel.
and let's take our second show, Chris and Ed's Makeover Taproom Experience. Go over there, do some research in Milwaukee, and then install a Milwaukee-style bar, maybe downtown, maybe right across the street from the Bean.
Right. It's a great idea. It'll
What
be
about
great.
Supper club,
under
a
the
supper
Bean?
club, maybe.
I will say Chicago Athletic Association is pretty intensely awesome here. But what about the really like posh, like high-end cocktail, like I'm thinking like
Violet Hour.
no. I'm thinking like the more downtown like River North style places. Like none of us have mentioned that. Is that but a lot of people go to them.
Are you talking about like the yuppie clubs kind of thing? Like
Yuppies.
Are there
I
yuppies
guess.
now?
I don't
in
know.
River North? Like I mean the River North and
Yeah, like the clubs that just get like people get dressed up.
oh
and
yeah,
go to.
yeah the too much perfume and vomiting in the alley outside
I love
aesthetic.
that club.
Yeah.
The Too Much Perfume and Vomiting Club is amazing.
But nobody makes that their regular, which I think is the point that they might do
Okay.
gangbusters in business, but it's not going to be anybody's regular for 10 years.
Well, here's
That's
the thing.
not what they're going for either.
no.
Because what's happening is that you're getting a lot of people from the suburbs going for that authentic Chicago River North experience.
Yeah.
And they go to those cool perfume and vomit clubs because they think that's the dirty, seedy side of Chicago.
That's downtown.
Downtown, exactly. Although many people rethink downtown as the entire city limits of Chicago. There is a really cool River North bar. That's that Tiki Bar.
Lost Lake?
No, that's not
Three
downtown.
Dots?
Three dots and a dash.
I wanted to hate Three Dots and a Dash, okay? I wanted to go and they go, this place, what a lame place. But they've managed to take the Disney World aesthetic and vibe.
You just love that tiki place in Disney World. That's all it is. And it reminds you
Polynesian
of the
Village.
Polynesian Village.
Okay, fine.
Exactly.
Fine, Chris.
I know what it is, Ed.
Hey, whatever.
You just want a VR experience to
Okay,
complete
fine.
the whole.
The only
Fine.
tiki
Yeah.
bar I've ever been to that I liked was Tiki Teas in Los Angeles.
Have you been to the Halakahiki?
Halakahiki is
No.
actually great.
It's
Mannheim
pretty,
Road.
Pretty amazing.
Kim likes it.
There's also a lot of motels on Mannheim Road.
What are you
my
saying?
grandma
Ed?
lived right up the street from there. What are you saying, Ed?
You know exactly what I'm saying. You and your grandma and I used to hang out a lot at Halakahiki.
Yeah.
I believe that.
And then we would go to the motels and watch TV.
All right, so let's people. I guarantee you, everybody has stopped listening by now, but that's fine. I want to thank Alex for the letter, and
Who's Alex?
Thank you, Alex.
exactly. So, where should we go to next?
You want to run the promo for our new show for just test it out to the marketplace?
Yeah, let me push play, and then I think it starts out with your voice. So we'll just I'll hit play, and there you go.
That's right. You're looking for the hottest new tap room experience. Well, stop in at one show that'll teach you how to make it happen. Chris and Ed's Tap Room Makeover Show.
That's right, Ed. We're gonna take your lame bar and make it cool.
Bring in craft beer, hard seltzer, and maybe something even different.
Don't be lame like all those other guys. Get with Chris and Ed, and we're gonna make your place great.
Great.
All right.
What'd you guys think?
What do you think of
That was
that?
pretty good.
The
That was
echo-
really good.
Echo's pretty bad. We should maybe redo that.
You can fix that in post. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Anyway, so it's good. We're mainly positioning that at monster truck rallies is where we're getting a lot of
feedback.
placements.
Placement, yeah.
Yeah. So far, so good, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the one place that we've transformed from the strip mall.
Yep, that's a hot Dutch club. If you're out in the suburbs, check it out. Der Spiegels, I think is what it's called, right?
Yep. Der Spiegels.
Yeah.
Der Spiegels, I think is what it was called. So anyway, moving on to that, Shana, do you want to talk about the fact that ZX, who has their dirty little hands in a lot of the beer industry, they are the venture capital arm of AB InBev and have bought a lot of things. So they bought half of Rate Beer, then they fully acquired Rate Beer. They bought October.
I think October was theirs from the beginning, right?
Yes, they started October.
This was the the brewery supplies thing too, right?
Yes, and then they bought Northern Brewer, which
Northern
was the
Brewer,
largest retailer for
Does that place
homebrew
exist anymore?
supplies, and then they sold it. They sold
They
it.
flipped it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then that prompted you, Shana, to comment on it was a backlog item that I just have kind of sitting there, and you said you wanted to talk about it. Now you're shaking your head no. Oh.
I think it's pretty interesting that they're. The reason it stuck out to me is because I've been reading some things here and there, and as I mentioned, they're mostly of like old man yells at cloud. Kids these days don't understand. Blah blah blah. But generally, it seems that the attitude is that homebrewing is dying out, and we could discuss the various reasons why that may or may not be true. But one of the main reasons I've seen is that it's because of online homebrew supply. And so it's interesting that one of the, if not the largest online homebrew retailer is not doing so well, or not well enough for ZX to hold on to them, because, these big companies don't hang on to things that aren't raking in money. And I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. What do you guys think about that?
I think there's an economic reason why home brewing is kind of on the downswing, or at least in a homebrew recession. It's because the economy sucks. People are spoiled for choice when it comes to beer in their local markets, and people are finally realizing that homebrewing is a money pit. It doesn't really save you anything.
Very expensive hobby.
Yeah, because you're always buying the next cool thing for it. You're switching from kegging to bottling to getting a new wort chiller to all these little things. Like, you can very easily spend $1,000 on a homebrew kit and still need to spend $1,000 more, because you're constantly doing that feeling of like, oh, I need the next coolest thing to get my beer to that next level. And I think
You
that's,
can also spend $300 and never spend any more.
you can, but who doesn't?
Except on ingredients.
Who does
But
that?
are you making beer that you want to keep brewing?
And
can.
are you the type of person
You
that
can.
is repeat buying stuff? Like, honestly.
I would say that maybe you see a decline in homebrewers because about 5,000 to 10,000 of them turned pro and started buying all the gear from every single brewery fabrication company, and they're all working in these large brewing industry conglomerates now all across North America, making glorified homebrew kits for people like me.
Here's what I think. I think that it does have to do with the internet retail economy. I think most people are buying their stuff from people like Northern Brewer, and who was it? Midwest was another huge
Midwest
one.
Brewing Supply,
Yeah. Because it just makes sense. They had the most variety.
It's just how people shop.
That's about how people shop. It's so easy just to sit at your desk and do whatever. But what you lose is something that I think is the most important part of homebrew, more important than the equipment, which is that kind of apprenticeship that you get from talking to the person at the homebrew store. That is vital to that hobby, is going there, giving the guy or the gal your stuff, asking them questions, asking them why this didn't work, getting their opinion on what to do, and then getting this sense of community or something. That is gone, and now you're just in a bubble. Something doesn't work. You go look up, a forum to see what you should do, and there's no sense of immediate community there.
No, it's just a bunch of people who think they know more than you yelling at you.
I think that's what it is. Personally, I could be wrong.
I mean, I have a little bit of experience with this, because the first beer forum I was ever a part of was back in 2007, and it was Homebrew Talk. And it was through the Chicago homebrew people that I went to my first Chicago homebrew meeting at Randy Mosher's house. And so...
A noted homebrewer.
The sense of...
Maybe the greatest homebrewer of all time.
Of all time.
Maybe Charlie Papazian would be one.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But the sense of community that I got was really important from that. And then doing the first Thursdays over at Goose Clybourne for so many years, when all the homebrewers would bring their stuff in growlers. And, there's something to that immediate feedback. I think I think maybe because the access point for beer has been so much easier for people that they don't need to start with that home brewing in order to find all these styles.
Right. You don't have to make it at home to get what you want to drink.
Exactly. I think that might have a significant play to it. I will say there is something to the relationship based business. I mean, when I started homebrewing and buying my stuff, I was working at Sam's in Highland Park, so I was buying all my homebrew gear from Perfect Brewing in Libertyville. The same guy that I was buying stuff from, he went off and started a brewery, but one of the guys that he worked with is now working at Brew and Grow over on Kedzie, where I see him every so often. And, it's not like I homebrew often, but I go to homebrew stores every so often. If
You're going to homebrew stores every week.
It's an addiction.
I know.
But
Just
yeah.
drinks yeast.
Yeah. But yeah, so there is something to be said about that actual feedback. And I think that if I were brewing, I would bring it there. Also, people are going pot now, too, or at least starting to. So you can only do so many things at once.
Well, you can brew and you can grow.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. She's right. You
Yeah.
can. I would say that the fact that homebrewing is down just in sheer volumes, not even relative to the growth of craft beer, while craft beer has exploded, homebrew has gone down, in the long term may not be a good thing because homebrew was the bedrock of craft beer. And Mars has its roots in homebrew, Ed, and so does a lot of
most of the breweries
here.
Most of the Chicago-based breweries. That's why I was kind of only half joking about how a lot of home brewers are now running breweries or working at breweries. I mean, that's really part of it.
It's true, yeah.
And of course, the Amazonification of everything is hurting things, and it's very hard to compete with online retailers with price if you have.
But it hurts the community as a whole.
Well, you can say that about everything.
Yes.
Conversely, though, these technologies also help grow community. So it's like a yin and yang, right?
Push and pull.
I would argue that maybe a lot of home brewers are growing weed as well, or making natural wine.
Or drinking it, at least.
Yeah.
And with that, he's back to his phone.
I'm Googling natural wine right now.
Oh.
Home natural wining.
Home natural wining.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's dovetail roots right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home whining.
Home wine.
Yeah. I mean, we're right in Bridgeport. Right now, there's like a 35th near Racine is a lot open up where this family has been bringing in grapes and juice to the neighborhood for generations. And you could go down there right now and buy a bunch of grapes and juice and make your home batch. And, John, our buddy John's family make it. There's people all around us making wine right now.
People have been making wine like that for generations. I
wonder how many people make wine versus beer.
I think it's a different. It's very different. I think it's very old school, old world. Making your own wine.
And that's like a family in-house at-home thing, not so much like, I made this, let me go take it to my buddies and see what they made. And
yeah, my grandmother's family made their own wine, and people would come in the back door and buy wine, and did it through Prohibition, and that might just be my family, but they definitely made wine during Prohibition and never stopped, really. So maybe that's just why I think it's more common, just because my family did that.
Because your family's been a bunch of winemakers, winos.
A bunch of bootleggers.
Bootleggers, yeah.
Criminals.
Criminals.
Well, I thought it was
family
interesting.
of criminals in more ways than you have any idea.
What is it called? WZYX Ventures? YX Ventures?
Yep. ZX, yep.
ZX got rid of this home brewing conglomerate, right, to someone else.
Yep.
What else are they investing in? Are they investing into the cannabis space? Do they have any other new projects along the way?
Oh, I'm sure they do. Do you know of any, Ed?
No, I don't. I'm checking in the board. Where's
beyond,
Levi Borgmeister when you need him?
That's where he
Or
is.
King Kona?
Where the
hell is Kona?
Yeah, where the hell is Kona?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
The coconut groves.
I mean, they're making canned cocktails now.
True.
So I don't know what they're doing in the cannabis space, but it's there's no reason why they wouldn't be in that space.
Now, here's something that is just kind of off topic, but I heard about an importer that closed shop, but has now reopened as a splash drop company.
You're talking about Off Trail, Lanny, and Artisanal and all that?
What does that mean, guys?
Yes.
So,
Splash drop.
okay, we're all still trying to figure that out. So, Artisanal, I don't think they were an import. Were they an importer? Mm-hmm. So they were also a broker, basically, where they were sort of handling brand management for other breweries and other brands.
But they were
within
they were an
markets.
importer first.
Maybe you're right. Maybe they were an importer first.
And the full name
Based
of the
out of
company
Texas.
is Artisanal
Imports.
Imports.
I'm just being stupid. Yeah, you guys are 100% right. And then Lanny left and started this off-trail spirits thing. And Splash Distribution, from what I understand, is that he's working directly with breweries to say, we can sell a pallet of X, Y, or Z from your brewery, and then sends that out to his customers and says, and I don't know if he's direct shipping or if he's working within markets as a wholesaler or with a wholesaler or not. I don't know.
With a wholesaler.
With a wholesaler. So then he then says he pre-sells everything, and the brewery just basically packs the order and ships it, and then he gets it out to the customers, and he's basically acting in the same way as a broker as before.
Exactly like Artisanal was before, exactly like an importer does now, except you're dealing in drops.
Yeah.
So you're doing remember when Far and Away happened this time roughly last year for Half Acre, and a bunch of breweries came into the city, and then all of a sudden we were flooded for about a month or two with all these like crazy beers we've never seen before, and then it dried up and it went away.
So
they're specializing in that, and there's been smaller distributors who are doing that. So it's limited. I just want to explain for people out there who may not understand. So it is a distribution deal, but it is more incremental. So you are doing a drop maybe once a quarter, maybe once a year. So you're just dropping beer into a market once a year. So what that means is you don't need representation, or you don't need representation in that market all the time. And you're also getting this, you're having this perpetual sense of new. So your stuff doesn't ever get old because it's new and exciting, and then it's gone, and then maybe you come back in a year or a quarter or something like that.
Yep, and I can speak to this pretty well because that's basically half my business model for my new company is small batch targeted distribution, but it's not based on what I think needs to happen. It's based on what the brewery wants to do. So
why do you think they want to do that?
Well, because they have a lot of breweries are always looking to have, move a couple extra pallets of beer. Times are a little bit leaner right now, and you might not want to go into a market full bore. But if you've got a friend that owns a bar, or you've done collaborations with a brewery or whatever, and you know that you can move a pallet of beer through a market, why not? Absolutely, why not? The only real barrier to that is the franchise laws when it comes to distribution of beer. For those that don't understand, if you sign with a wholesaler, they basically own your brand rights in perpetuity unless you can prove that they screwed you in some way. And even then, it's really difficult. It's up to the wholesaler to define those terms and to terminate contracts as they choose to. And you don't get a lot of them that choose to do that. So the problem with something like Far and Away is that there were several breweries that were approached that wanted to do this and be a part of this that decided not to because they were interested in maybe coming to the market later and didn't want their brand rights tied up in distribution where they may or may not be able to get out of it. And there's a lot more nuance to it in Chicago specifically that I could get into, but I won't. And
the other thing is, I think this is a very interesting way for somebody to be able to move. If you're going into bigger markets, decent amounts of beer. I mean, imagine if a brewery, if they're looking at seasonality in terms of markets, like our October seasonal is Milwaukee, and then our November seasonal is New York City, and then
I love this idea, actually, Chris.
Right.
And I love the idea of this type of distribution. So
yeah.
It's nice to hear that it's actually working.
People are trying it. We'll see if it works.
Yeah, for small guys like
okay
us.
so far.
for small guys
For a
like,
week.
For us, it would be beneficial for us to send a few random pallets out to friends at different states, different cities across the country. As you know, we've been trying to get some beer out to friends in California, for example, or New York. And if you did do a deal with a person who's like a national wholesaler, distributor, broker, you are kind of in trouble because if you rely on them in this marketplace, they have a stranglehold over how they will sell and present your beer, and they may not get rid of any of that beer for you. So there are people probably rethinking and realigning every decision they make about who they distribute to, where they want to distribute. There's a lot of fear of making those relationships and getting married to different distributors all over the country. So what Vavrick's doing and what this guy Lanny's probably doing is a much needed resource for small brewers or even larger brewers who just want to go, let's just sprinkle pallets all over the country for this one beer. It's going to be great. And I would advise you, Vavrick, and the people who are starting this business out there to create a kind of directory or index for people like me to use so I could call you and email you and you could not return my phone calls for a couple weeks. And then maybe I send you like some swag and you remember me. And then we have a conversation, and then maybe you're interested in taking a beer we're making in 3 months. I think that would be great. It would benefit me. And as you know, much like that show, our other show, Chris and Ed's Taproom Makeover, how does it benefit me is really important when it comes to
you.
To making
When it
over a
comes to
bar
you.
or distribution or making beer or whatever. But yeah, this is great. So who else is doing this? I want to know right now.
There's a few out there. I was mostly inspired by Flood Distribution down in Texas. They came out of Duff Distribution.
Two great one-syllable names.
Yeah, and Kyle, I actually met Kyle on a trip to Belgium in 2012 before Flood existed. And we kind of hit it off. And, he was working for this distributor, and it was a very classic distributor, and Texas is sort of known for their laws being really wonky. And Jester King has had to fight them, and Kyle, when Duff, it's sort of a long story, but it was an ugly thing. And when they went away, Kyle started up his distribution business with the idea of basically ignoring most of Texas's laws, and did it until it kind of bit him. But it was sort of the same thing where it was kind of like, well, I mean, we're not going to be a fit for everyone, so why should we pretend like everybody is for us? And why should we hold everybody to us for that reason? Mm-hmm. And I was really inspired by that because I don't think that the traditional distribution model is an actual free market. There's also there's a guy in Maryland, I don't know his name, but he's basically acting as a delivery service. So he rents a truck and then goes around from breweries and delivers to bars and restaurants, and the distributors are freaking out about it because he's basically acting as a courier service for them, which I think is marvelous because he doesn't want to be a brand builder. He's not looking at at keeping their brand rights or assigning salespeople to it. He's just moving product from point A to point B, and I take a lot of inspiration from that too.
Well, explain why that's a problem, though. The guy's just delivering the beer.
Well, it's a problem for wholesalers because that's literally, they are governmentally mandated to be that middle tier to move the product from the brewery to the retailer.
But the breweries are hiring him to pick up and deliver this.
The small breweries are because they don't want to go through the issue of licensing and buying a truck and then insurance. The insurance premiums go up when you have to deal with I have to plan on moving up to $140,000 worth of $140,000 worth of product per quarter.
Yeah.
So then your premium goes up for handling of it. Then you have insurance for your driver. You have workman's comp for the driver if they hurt their back moving a keg downstairs. It's all these other little things that this guy's like, well, I could do that.
Yeah. I mean,
why not?
We self-distribute, right? For example.
Absolutely.
And I remember when we were starting out, I was like, hey, 5 or 6 other small breweries that are opening up in Chicago, why don't we hire that guy over there, Jamie, and Jamie's delivery service? We each hire him as a contract worker for us to distribute to pick up our beer and deliver it. And everyone thought it was crazy.
No, it's a beautiful idea.
I mean, it's a genius idea that a group of brewers work together to hire a contractor. Like you could hire anyone who works for your company. He happens to own a fleet of trucks. Who cares?
Yeah.
He's a subcontractor. You pay him to do your deliveries. Seems to me like he's going to win because it's ridiculous that They won't allow them to do that.
Yep. There's also there's several other people in the country doing it. There's Pequot up in Wisconsin.
It's great. I like these cracks in the system here. It's beautiful.
I think we're out of time, guys.
Wow, really?
Yeah, sadly.
I thought you were going to play the 15-minute segment from Chris and Ed's Tap Room Makeover.
Well, I mean,
Ran out
the
of
letter
time.
The letter blew it up, too.
Thanks a lot, Alex.
Damn.
Yeah, so we can blame Alex for
Yeah.
that.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah.
Whatever, Alex.
Yeah. Well, maybe next time. Maybe we'll have
Let's
a special episode.
Why don't we just send him some swag? Make sure you send another letter with your return address on it.
T-shirt size.
T-shirt size, and we'll send you something, buddy.
And also, don't forget that if you send something
And we actually get it.
Yeah, and what's the address again?
3219 South Morgan Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60608.
Attention,
Jamie Trecker.
There
That's
you
a
go.
good idea.
Yeah.
If you make it attention Jamie Trecker,
And it actually gets
and it gets through, and it gets to Jamie,
and then to me.
and then to you,
it has to get to me.
you get a bunch of swag, unbelievable swag that no one else will ever have in your neighborhood.
There you go. All right. Well, I want to thank my guests, Ed, Adam, and Shana. Any final words for anybody? I'm getting stuffier as it goes.
I hope everyone has a great month. I hope that you're enjoying the fall weather, and then you see the trees turning soon, and just get ready for the fun times ahead.
So Halloween is on the 31st, but just remember that every day is Halloween.
If you believe.
Beautiful.
If you want it to be.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And Shana, anything for you?
Come drink beer with me anytime.
That's a call to action, but that's
Beautiful.
okay. All right. Thank you guys so much. I will see you next week with more of the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.